Well, we were called at this time and this platform a setting to be ministering in a world that is spinning out of control. Immorality is always preceded by impiety. Ultimately, in people, the heart is flawed before the immoral act. And we are dealing with a nation where irrationality is becoming more and more prevalent. Truth is slowly being removed from our thinking in society. And we have seen that truth had left other nations until they were totally destroyed. And we're on that slippery slope. FCCI offers you the experience of ministering to a nation through business. This is the call in which God has passed on. Truth injected into a business by demonstrating really the love of Christ in you. And so we use these principles of true authority, true humility, true stewardship, true sacrifice, and true surrender, that the people within your sphere of influence should encounter the King through you. Is that happening in your business? Is that happening in your life? I didn't say I was the best motivational speaker, because I'm not. I want you to understand what we have here. This is a serious moment. The gates of Hades is our target. Souls is what we're after. We are the people of his kingdom, and we've been called so decisively, so compellingly, that we cannot return to where we once came. That old self is dead in all of its transgression, dead forever indeed. And although we are dead men walking, we have life in us, and we have it ever the more. We have the life of the Spirit within us, a graceful deposit of his grace and his mercy. This Spirit is sufficient, and it allows us to walk with him and talk with him until, as I think about it, we see him again. So what are we talking about, and where are we walking to? What are we talking about, and where are we walking to? What could the next 12 to 13 years look like for FCCI? What could a headline read 12 years from now? Well, Jesus is the press release, and here's kind of what I see. FCCI focus on discipleship and mission globally. That could be a headline. Business without Christ can be profitable, but business with Christ is business redefined. And that's how we came up with Business Redefined. And I asked my daughter, I said, what do you think about this? She says, oh, that's business redefined. That's doing business differently than I know how to do business. And she coined the term business redefined. And that's how business redefined. And then I talked to Bobby about it. He got real excited. He said, well, what about adding re-engineering your business for the future? And so that's how this ministry was, and this conference was birthed today. These weren't just fancy words to put on a paper with some fancy colors to make a difference. These were life-changing moments that we went through in this journey. Everything about this conference has been prayed for. And I can tell you that it's been eternally focused. Eternally focused. And sometimes I fear when I think eternally focused, because sometimes we want to please man. And every time I go the direction of trying to please man, it falls short. Our focus has to be on him, not man. And so I had to pray for fear and, a little bit of fear, so I had to pray for some courage. And he said, be bold and courageous. I brought you here for this time, for this point in the race. FCCI is laboring in the lives of transformational leaders. That could be a headline. We're laboring in the lives of transformational leaders who think they can change the world. They looked at their balance sheet 10 years ago and said, wow, is this it? Is this all my life is to come? And they came back and said, man, it must be something more. I want to make a difference. I think I want to change the world. And then we go down this path and we find out we can be an instrument but he's the one that will perform the ultimate surgery. But it's a wonderful thing to carry, kind of use that scalpel a little bit. Well, through FCCI, Jesus demonstrated both sensitivity and yet power. That could be a headline. Through FCCI, Jesus demonstrated sensitivity, but yet power. Because there's a pruning process that has to take place. And we have to find great joy in both pain and pleasure. And sometimes pleasure is more dangerous than pain. So let me read it this way. What people or nation are we weeping for or over? Do you weep for those the Lord has placed in your authority? Do you weep for your wife? Do you weep for your family? Do you weep for your staff? Do you weep for your vendors? Do you weep for your outcomes? What are you weeping for? Who are you weeping over? Do you weep for the things of God? And He has appointed you to build and to plant. I don't think we can be a discipling ministry if we don't love our staff, if we don't love our customers, if we don't love our vendors. I just don't think we can be business redefined. We have to truly care for our people. We have to care for them and love on them in ways that they can never imagine. They need to see Christ in us. And so let's start there. And so I'm wondering, what are you weeping over? What are you weeping for? What struggles are you encountering that is preventing you from taking action? What struggles are you encountering? Is your cash flow short, and so therefore your focus is on cash flow? And so therefore you kind of forget about the people and the mission? Or you kind of focus on the right thing all the time, regardless of your circumstances? Walt, you're going to need to get back up here and get them excited again. These are just things I've been contemplating and praying over. But what struggles are we going to face here at FCCI? Because if we're truly in this movement, we're going to have some great pains. The evil one is going to really rear his head and say, I'm going to attack FCCI. He's going to attack us first, starting at leadership. He's going to attack us with relationship. He's going to attack us in ways that we're going to be blindsided unless we're very careful. And so inward fighting, which we haven't had, by the way, will be his first start to keep us out of the focus of what he wants us to do. And so we're going to have to really be prayed up in our leadership. And I pray that for each and one of our board members and other people. So what struggles? What is your target? Let's be very clear and specific. What specifically is a business leader who is integrating biblical principles in the workplace? What principles? Our desire is when the Christian business leader is called into society, it will never be the same. When we're called into a society, into a New York City, New York will never be the same. That is our goal. That is our mission. It will never be the same. And over the next few days, it is our prayer that you would have that personal encounter with the kingdom. We will share with you what we believe his call is for FCCI. And here are some core objectives as I finish. And I'll unpack these objectives. Today I just wanted to kind of give you a broad stroke of where we're going. Wednesday, I want to land the plane and really bring some details as to what I feel the next 12 years is at stake for FCCI. Vision 25. Vision 25. Why Vision 25? Because it's going to take a long, long, long time to do some of the things that we're talking about, because we're in the relationship business and it takes time for relationships to be birthed. I'm talking about the type of relationships that's 10%, not 90%. What do you mean by that? 90% of relationships we can come to know. But it's the 10% that we will never reveal. It's the 10% that makes the difference. And for most of us, we only share that 10% with maybe one or two other people in our lifetime. And maybe there's only two people that understands that 10%, you and Jesus. But how do we increase that number of 90-10? 90% is safe. We can even look good and Christianly at 90%. It's the 10% that's killing us. And so it's going to take some time for that 10% to work through. But if we're to go into other nations, we must go truly with the idea and the mentality of sacrifice, surrender, humility, and dependency. We must be ready to release it all, to give it away, to serve, and to honor. I could be wrong. But here are some core objectives we've shared, and I hope that we share in the 34th conference. We have a global prayer movement. I'd like to see us with a global prayer movement. And so I've challenged Bill Money to think about a global prayer movement, not just a local movement. We need people all around the world with different culture praying. We need a global prayer team, not just a local prayer team. We need to be bathed in prayer on a daily basis. We cannot survive without prayer. And so prayer will be our forefront. It will be our number one objective is prayer, 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 global prayer movement. Secondly, I like to focus on global cities. There's a global cities plan that we're going to hand you on Wednesday. It focuses in on the 30 of the most influential cities around the world. And what I mean by that, I'd like to see us to have, and the prayer is for one FCCI group to be in each of those cities within the next 7 years. But as the Lord has shown me with New York, it's not your timing, it's His timing. I was thinking about New York next year. He just happens to introduce us to Teresa this year. But what I didn't know is that Teresa was trained in 2005, Kent, in Oklahoma City, and now activated in 2012. We've been planting seeds for years. What we did is, hey, let's call her up, see if she's still alive. The Lord has been watering and keeping her fresh. We just didn't know it. So we just pulled her on out of the weeds and say, let's go. Let's pull some weeds out and let's get this thing going. And now we're looking at 200 to 250 people in New York City. I don't know. He's a good God. I don't know. That's an amen. I don't know what's I get excited just thinking about it. Global business leadership conferences. I like to see global business leadership conferences, nationally, regionally. That's great. But I like to see us all around the world. I like to see us with an international conference in the next 7 to 10 years. Why not go to Dubai? Why not go to different places? I don't know. I mean, we've done it before. Let's do one maybe every 3 years. And then we'll have our regular annual conference. What if we were to think about that as an option? I don't know. These are just thoughts. None of them make sense probably. But what if we had that and we can reach the world with our message? What if we looked at 40 U.S. states? Right now we're in 20 U.S. states. 28 U.S. states. What if it was 40 U.S. states? So the idea is 12 more U.S. states. And they're critical to our path because they are influential states. I like to see area teams established in those states. So there's 12 more states. Now, I don't want to use numbers because numbers kind of throw people off a little bit and they get concerned about the number. I don't want you to focus on the number. But in order to have a type of penetration I'm talking about, which is 5% of Christian businesses become members of FCCI. So if you're looking at 27 million businesses in the U.S., our footprint would be 5% of those businesses would be joined with FCCI. If you're looking at 90 million businesses around the world, 5% of them would be joined with FCCI. I want to talk to two people around the world. I want to talk to people who own a business and people who are starting a business. If you did the math real quick, I want to talk to anybody in business. For those who are starting a business, I want to talk to you about how to start a business, whether you're Christian or non-Christian. Now, before you get a little, whoa, that's not a mission. Well, what we want to just talk to you about is how to build a faith-based business. We want to show you what that plan looks like. If you choose to go into a different direction, that's okay. At least we've given you a free business plan as to how to do it. And then for those who are already in business, we want to help you by equipping and encouraging and supporting you. So if you're thinking about starting a business, which today, we will have more entrepreneurship starting up than ever before because there's been a shift. And the number one age group that's starting a business is actually 60 years old, not in their 20s. Because they're coming out of a workforce that they're unemployable. And therefore, they have a little bit left in their 401k, and they want to start a business, but they never started the business. They've never taken on that risk. And so, Eric, you've been training men for 26 years? Through FCCI, through small groups. There's wisdom in this room that can mentor the next generation of entrepreneurs. Okay? And so we want to talk to those who's in business, and we want to talk to those who's starting a business. We want to give away whatever we have to those who are starting a business. We want to say, let us love on you, and here it is, nothing in return. And for those who own a business, we're saying, and you're Christian, come, let us love on you and feed you. I want to talk to those starting a business, and those who own a business. That's my target group, 90 million people around the world, sharing the message of Jesus Christ, sharing the message of how he integrated himself into our business, and let you as mentors. So this number, I don't want to kind of make you nervous, but it's 16,000 group leaders is what we need. What I learned from New York is you can raise up area leaders, but you can't raise up group leaders. They have to be grown through the system. And so we need group leaders. Well, guys, my time is way up, but I want to give you an idea. FCCI fellows, I like to see us training at least 1 million young people around the world in the next 12 years. I like to see us offering internships for college students. And I like to see them in a different, not just give them in a box and put them in a corner and tell them to file something and we'll pay you $10 an hour. But this intern would shadow the CEO. This intern would take on a major project that could transform that company or the community. This project they would sit in business leadership groups along with you. This project is their conference would be paid for 1 year. And then finally, they would go out with us globally if necessary and talk to business leaders around the world. I see an FCCI Fellows program to reach 1 million young next generation for FCCI. That's why you're invited here. Can you, University of Georgia, please stand? And Dustin, would you please stand? University of Georgia. I want to thank the navigators who partnered with us to bring 4 young students. We didn't think we'd get any, right, Dustin? And we said, because we kind of been praying about this for like 30 days, and we said, well, expectations are low, and we said, well, we're not going to get anybody this year. What about next year? And he called me up. I should play your email, by the way, nationally. I will do that. He was so excited because 4 young students. And Navigator has supported these students to come to this conference financially. Thank you so much. Well, let me wrap up and just say it's a long session, and I got to get somebody to get on me about this type of stuff, especially since I've been pushing timeliness. But this is my final words. We need your help in these 3 ways. Be prayerful. We need your help financially. And we need your help voluntarily. This year we have over 111,000 volunteer hours. At $100 an hour is $1.1 million in contributed service by you. And so I want to thank you for your volunteerism. We have $500,000 in in-kind gifts for the website. That's $1.6 million of volunteer service. We couldn't operate without volunteers. So I thank you so much for your service. Let your light so shine amongst the nations that they see your good works and shine upon heaven. May the Lord bless you and your business. Thank you so much.